The story begins on a chilly winter morning in a small rundown neighborhood where Daniel, a single father in his early 30s, pushed a squeaky stroller along cracked sidewalks. His daughter, Lily, no older than 6, clutched a worn-out stuffed bunny with button eyes, humming softly to herself. Daniel's shoes were torn, his jacket threadbare, and yet, he walked with a quiet dignity, shielding his daughter from the cold with his own body as the wind cut through the streets. Daniel had once dreamed of becoming a chef. Years ago, he'd worked in a bustling restaurant kitchen, dreaming of opening his own cafe one day. But life had stripped him bare. When Lily's mother left, unable to handle the weight of responsibility, Daniel gave up everything: his dreams, his comfort, his youth, to raise Lily alone. He worked small jobs, anything he could find, delivering packages, mopping floors, loading trucks, barely making enough to keep the lights on. Still, every night, when Lily asked if they could one day have a home with a backyard and a swing, Daniel always smiled and whispered, "One day, sweetheart." One day, that day felt impossibly far away. One morning, while rushing to his part-time job at a downtown hotel, Daniel was late. He couldn't afford to be late. Another strike and he would be fired. But Lily's school had called him earlier. She wasn't feeling well, and he couldn't leave her alone. With no one else to turn to, Daniel carried her in his arms, her small head resting on his shoulder, as he begged the universe for a miracle. That's when he collided literally into a sharply dressed woman stepping out of a sleek black car. Papers flew everywhere. Lily coughed softly, and Daniel quickly dropped to his knees, scrambling to pick up what had fallen. I'm so sorry," he stammered, avoiding her eyes. The woman, tall, commanding, and elegant in a gray coat, looked down at him. Most people in her position would have snapped at him, but instead, she crouched down and noticed Lily in his arms. "Is she all right?" she asked softly. Daniel hesitated, nodding quickly. "She's fine. I just need to get to work." Before he stopped himself, he couldn't explain. He couldn't admit how close he was to losing everything. The woman tilted her head, studying him. There was something in her gaze: curiosity, maybe even recognition. But Daniel, too flustered, rushed past her, muttering another apology. He didn't know it then, but that woman was Evelyn Hart, CEO of a global hospitality empire, and one of the most powerful women in the city. Later that afternoon, as Daniel was cleaning in the hotel lobby, exhausted and trembling from skipping lunch so Lily could eat, a hush spread across the staff. Evelyn Hart had arrived for a private meeting. The employees straightened their uniforms, trying to impress her, but Evelyn's eyes were scanning the room and they stopped on Daniel. "Excuse me," she said firmly, striding toward him. Everyone froze. Evelyn Hart never noticed the janitors. She never noticed anyone outside the executive floor. Daniel's heart pounded as she stood before him. "You," she said quietly, "we met this morning. What's your name?" The entire lobby stared. Daniel flushed red, wiping his hands nervously on his rag. "Daniel, ma'am." "Daniel Cole." "And your daughter Lily?" Evelyn asked, remembering. He stiffened, unsure how she knew. "Yes," he said cautiously. She gave a small rare smile. "Good. I'd like to speak with you after your shift." Gasps spread among the staff. Whispers buzzed. Why would a millionaire CEO want to meet a janitor? Daniel felt his stomach twist. He was certain it was a mistake, or worse, a cruel setup. When his shift ended, he almost didn't go. But something in Evelyn's eyes earlier, something kind, something genuine, made him take the risk. In her office, Evelyn sat across from him at a polished wooden desk. "Daniel," she began, "I've built hotels all around the world. I've met chefs, business leaders, politicians, but today, when you rushed past me with your daughter, I saw something I rarely see anymore: sacrifice." Daniel lowered his eyes. "I'm sorry if I caused you trouble. I didn't mean to." "No," Evelyn interrupted gently. "I'm not angry. I'm impressed. You put her before everything, even yourself. That kind of love is rare." Daniel felt his throat tighten. No one had ever noticed, let alone praised him, for the sacrifices he made. He had spent years being invisible. Evelyn leaned forward. "I've been searching for someone honest, hard-working, and determined for a special project. Tell me, Daniel, do you still cook?" Daniel blinked. His heart stopped. "Cook, yes," she said, eyes softening. "Before I became CEO, I worked in kitchens too. I can always tell when someone carries the passion of food in their soul. And I see it in you." He almost laughed. It had been years since he touched a professional stove. His hands were rough from mops and freight boxes, not knives and pans. "Please don't joke with me," Daniel whispered, his voice breaking. "I can't afford to hope for things like that anymore." Evelyn's eyes glistened. "I don't joke, Daniel. I'm offering you a chance. I want you to come work in one of my restaurants, starting in the kitchen, learning again. And if you prove yourself, I'll help you open your own cafe one day." The word struck Daniel like a lightning bolt. He covered his face with his hands, trembling. Years of buried dreams surged back. Lily's laughter. His sleepless nights. His whispered promises of one day. Could it be possible? Tears slipped through his fingers as he shook his head in disbelief. Why me? Evelyn stood, walking around the desk. She placed a hand on his shoulder. Because kindness should never go unseen. Because fathers like you deserve to dream again, and because your daughter deserves to see her father become the man he was always meant to be. That night, Daniel went home with Lily in his arms, his heart bursting with something he hadn't felt in years: hope. He tucked her into bed, kissed her for it, and whispered, "One day is coming sooner than we thought, sweetheart." Months later, the same hotel lobby buzzed with chatter again. This time, it wasn't about Evelyn Hart. It was about Daniel Cole, the former janitor who now wore a chef's coat, heading a kitchen with skill, passion, and a fire that could not be dimmed. And in the front row of the dining room, Lily sat at a special table, grinning ear to ear, her little bunny still clutched in her hand. Life had given Daniel hardship, but kindness, unexpected, powerful kindness, had given him back his future. So when people whispered about Evelyn Hart, the millionaire CEO who pursued a poor single dad before everyone, they didn't gossip with suspicion. They spoke with awe, because sometimes the richest people in the world aren't the ones who give money, but the ones who give hope. And if this story touched you, remember, acts of kindness, big or small, can change your life forever. Make sure you subscribe for more stories that warm the heart and remind us